people that's new to upholstery work, they try to want to figure out how you're going to work in tight areas. It's all in these little hammers. This is a very tiny little hammer. I can get into very tight places, put tacks. Usually you have to find these somewhere in an antique store or somebody that sells vintage tools. You might be able to buy them. They may even make them. I don't know. But this is an old one. This thing is super tiny, and I can get it in crazy places and put tacks. But it's all in your tools. Finding the right tool. You'll find your favorite little hammer that gets in the places that you need to get. It's a little teeny tiny hammer. This is the secret to getting in little places and doing tiny work. I also use it for doing peg work. If you're taking pegs and putting pegs in legs and chairs and stuff, this also works for doing peg work. It's not too big, it's not enough to damage the peg if you're putting one in. But this hammer looks like it's probably from the 30s, might be from the 20s, I'm not sure. But it's very old. It was a hard cast, and I took and ground it down to make it more smoother. Had a lot of roughness in it. But that is, it's got a long handle, so you can get a little bit of leverage on it if you need. This is the tool that I use. It's super small. You can get it in crazy places. You can put tacks, pegs, anything that you need to get just a little tiny hammer too. That's the type of hammer I use. Some people use a bigger hammer, but if you can find a small hammer, that's the thing to do the trick with. It's just a very tiny small tack hammer. These was produced way back in the old days. They made them back as far as back in the 1800s for doing tack work. Very tiny. You can tell it's really old by the staining in the handle. You can see where it's got the rust stains in the wood. I put a polyurethane coating on it so you don't get splinters in your hands, because it was raw wood when I found it. Looked like it hadn't been used in a long time. Lightly sanded it, put some polyurethane on it. This keeps the splinters out of your hands, and it also protects the wood. But it's a perfect little hammer. If you have a chance to find a little hammer like that and you do upholstery work, if you're looking to get into upholstery work, these tiny hammers is like the real trick for doing anything. Antique furniture, tack work. Sometimes the claw is just a little bit too small, so sometimes you have to pull the tacks with 2 screwdrivers, but it works fine as a hammer. And that is what I use. It's the secret tool to doing all the fine, tiny tack work. It's probably one of the best hammers I've got, and probably one of my favorites. It's just so small that you can get it in about anywhere. It's very thin, but that's the secret to doing upholstery work.